Okay, looks like we are good to go. This is going to be another Facebook Live, and glad you could join me. I'm meteorologist Aaron Tuttle, and it's time to talk about the weather again. And we are going to see what we have in store for the state. So I'm glad you could join me. We're going to get down to business and show you where the risk is for severe storms, where it's not going to be severe, and then we'll tell you what you can expect. So we had another storm system coming on in. It's another upper level low pressure system coming in off the desert southwest area. And that'll be moving on in really into northern Texas as far as the focus of the energy with this one. So it's not quite an Oklahoma storm per se, as more of it is along the lines of a bigger severe weather event down into the Lone Star State. So I want to remind you, for those of you folks that like the weather summaries that are written out, I'm going to continue to try to do that. It's just really time consuming to try to do everything. But in the short term, until I can get that done on these live broadcasts, you can't watch the whole thing. Try to keep them short. Sometimes they go a little long. But if you read the top crawl, you're going to see the summary of what you can expect. So if you just need to get in and get out 30 seconds, read that top crawl, and that's all you need. You can get out of here. So that's going to try to appease both crowds that way. So we'll see how that works out. Okay, so we've got a few of you online still trickling on in. I know it's about 9:30, so a lot of you probably already hit the hay. But the stragglers out there, welcome aboard. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get down to business. You know what I like to do, and let's talk about the graphics for you. Okay, so what we got here is the latest from the Storm Prediction Center, and they've got an enhanced risk of severe weather stretching just shy of the Oklahoma City metro area and then down to the southwest into far western Texas. So what will likely happen with the revisions of this is that this enhanced area is going to get shifted south closer to the Red River into far southern Oklahoma and southwest Oklahoma. So that'll leave us in the slight risk, and that's going to be typical. That'll be for hail and wind and flash flooding, because I think flash flooding is going to be the greatest threat with this system for the body of Oklahoma. And I know that's hard to imagine because we've been in a drought for a while, but this is going to be some significant drought relief, and we're talking inches of rainfall. Could be as high as 4 in many areas, and that includes right here in central Oklahoma and parts in southern Oklahoma. Okay, so that is the look at the enhanced risk of severe weather. Again, if you're joining me here just now, that'll be shifted southward. And as far as the tornadoes go or anything like that, even this ring is where they have the probability of the highest percentage of severe storms, and the output from those, hail, wind, tornado, etc., that will be shifted southward as well to cover more along the Red River and on into Texas. So there you go with that. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. Tell you what, let's do the bigger picture first here. Okay, so Tuesday morning, we are going to have some showers and elevated thunderstorms, and any of these elevated storms could contain some very tiny hail, but they should not be severe in the morning hours for Thursday. So these will develop out here into the East Texas Panhandle and also western Oklahoma, and as we go through time, they'll move through across the western parts of the state, and then we'll get a new line that develops across the Texas Panhandle, and then that will solidify, and this will be kind of an elevated type nature of these storms. In other words, they'll be in colder, more stable air mass, so the instability doesn't come from the surface, it comes from a couple thousand feet aloft. So what that means is that lessens the severe weather threat overall, and it precludes any type of tornado development at all. So that's good news for us. But in southern parts of the state, on into northern Texas, western Texas, that will be surface-based storms developing during the afternoon hours. This is about 4 o'clock, and those storms will be packing a punch, and they'll be kind of congealing into a squall line, likely a couple embedded supercells within that. And then you can see that line extends now north into south central Oklahoma, now approaching the metros. We head into tomorrow evening, so right about the drive time you head to work, or home from work rather, it should be pouring cats and dogs. And then you can see some scattered lines, segments still going on down into Texas, and then more rain here in western Oklahoma. And that round will move off, and we'll likely see additional rounds out there as well. So that's what you can expect on the big picture of things. Here is a smaller view, just zoomed into Oklahoma itself. I want to kind of show you how that rain moves on through during the late morning hours up through lunchtime. So you're going to get some rain pretty much I-35 west during some part of the morning on Tuesday into the lunchtime period. and then it will get new development out into western Oklahoma, and that will move through into south central Oklahoma. And you can see kind of some heavy line of storms there, all that red and purple. That indicates some torrential rainfall. And again, that moves on off. We got more rain after that that'll move through. Might even get a couple of rounds of this heavier rain. Now, this is one particular model, but we can take a look at what it's producing as far as the precipitation estimates. And wherever it's going to be, these heavy pockets is where the flash flooding threat resides. Now, it's got two areas in northwest Oklahoma, 3 to 4 inches of rain. And in southern Oklahoma, it's got 3 to about 4 inches of rain. In the metro, it ranges anywhere from a half inch to about, looks like 3. Now, we can take a look at another model. This is the HRR in the extended outlook. Same kind of pattern as far as the showers and storms that move on through. You see how heavy they are here across the body of the state, and they move on out. Now let me show you what it thinks rainfall amounts could be. These purple areas right here is up around 4 to 5 inches, and that's the southeastern Oklahoma County on down toward Choctaw, and points east of there, maybe east toward Tinker. And so not too far from the immediate Oklahoma City metro area. In here in town, it's got about 2 to 3 inches. So like I said, I think the biggest threat for this storm system for the body of Oklahoma is going to be the flash flooding potential. Now I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to show you the instability. Now remember, you have to have CAPE to get some severe weather for the chance of, say, some really large hail or tornadoes. Well, if we look at the CAPE values, this is Tuesday afternoon Butkus here in central Oklahoma. It's down. There's a little bit enhancement in southeast Oklahoma, but the rest of it's all along the Red River Valley and into northern Texas. And that is where the significant chance for either supercells or potential tornadoes resides. And I can show you that also on the Texas Tech model. So this is where they have the significant tornado parameter pegged, and that is right along the Red River. That is where that warm front is going to be anchored, and that extends on down toward Dallas-Fort Worth, back out toward Abilene. So there's your hot spot for potential tornadic development. And supercells themselves, which are capable of producing the large hail and damaging winds, about the same area. Let me go back a couple frames here. So here's late in the day, 5, 6 o'clock. Again, poised along the Red River Valley, down toward Dallas. So this little hot spot here is the most likely area for supercells that are producing tornadoes for Tuesday during the, say, early evening hours. So that's kind of the idea where you can expect the brunt of the severe weather of this particular storm system. So if you're kind of just tuning in, the broad answer is a lot of rainfall for Oklahoma, some severe weather down into the far southern areas of the state. Along the Red River, there is a chance for a couple of tornadoes to cross over from the Texas line. Otherwise, majority of that stuff is going to be into Texas. And let me see if anything else I want to show you real quick before I let you go. Probably the dew points. Okay, so the dew point value, let me go to, what time is this? Let's go 21. Okay, so about 4 o'clock or so in the afternoon. So these values here along the Red River are in the low 60s. Now, if you remember what I told you about on Sunday, you need low 60s for tornadoes for the most part. So those low 60s reside right here. They're anchored. And then they go even higher, you know, down into this area of Texas where there are going to be pockets of 70s. So that is where the big juice is, and that is where the warm front will be kind of in this area. So it should not move much further north than about this line. And again, anything north of that is what we call elevated activity. In other words, not rooted in the boundary layer, so it cannot produce tornadoes, but it still can have a little bit of hail with it. And now the farther north you go from that line, the less of a hail threat, but you're going to get some good old-fashioned heavy rain out of it. So that is it, my friends. I told you this was going to be kind of a short one. Short and sweet, straight to the point. Not every storm event is going to have tornadoes here in Oklahoma, at least widespread anyway. In the springtime, we get a lot of events that just have heavy rainfall. We get a lot of events that have some hail and wind. Remember, tornadoes, for the most part, are a rarity. We only see about 56 on average for an entire year. And although most of those are confined between March and June, they can happen in just about any month of the year. But those will get the majority of those 56 tornadoes. And they're like needles in a haystack. You can go your entire lifetime here in Oklahoma and never see one. So, but keep in mind, though, if you are down along the Red River Valley, in those counties, those southern tier counties in southern Oklahoma, you will have to keep an eye out for tornadic activity of any of those storms that cross over from Texas. So that is it. All right, my friends, that's the latest update. If it looks like we're going to get some significant tornado activity that does move across Red River, I'll likely stream live briefly for that period of time. If not, it looks like the tornadoes will stay south into Texas. Then I'll probably just put up a live radar and call it good. I typically only cut in whenever there's tornadoes because that's basically the most life-threatening situation when it comes to weather. Now, there's a caveat to that. When it comes to tornadoes, lightning, wind, all that stuff, flash flooding kills more people. So take that very seriously. So if you're out in town tomorrow, you're heading home from work late, we've got 3-4 inches of rainfall that's been coming down, you're going to run into some flooded roadways. Just avoid them. Go to a different route, that kind of deal. It takes about 2 feet of water to pick up a vehicle and carry it downstream. It takes 6 inches to knock you off your feet and carry you somewhere you don't want to go. So keep that always in the back of your mind. And last but not least, just be sure you check out my free weather app, AT's Weather to Go. When you do get it, enable Safety Net. You have to actually physically turn it on. That will allow the push notifications to get all your custom warnings ahead of time before the National Weather Service issues anything, giving you more time. So you're going to want that. Okay, well, that is it. All right, we will likely talk again tomorrow. So have a good night. And remember, don't panic, just have a plan, and you'll be all right. All right, take care.